everyone. Welcome to the Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. I have with me our very special guest, my man, Ahmad Anthony, who is the CEO of Follow Suit. And you know what, folks? I'm going to tell you something, a little something. I was looking back on my Facebook and I was checking things out, and I saw this guy doing some great things for our youth. I said, I got to have him. So what I did was I contacted him, and then unbeknownst to me, he from Boston, and he either played with or against some of the best Boston players, like I have as well. But before we get into that, Ahmed, how you doing, my brother?
Good evening. How is everything's great? Great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, you know something? I appreciate you coming on my show because, this is primarily a sports show on a sports network. But what I like to do with my guests is have them make an impact. And I see what you're doing in the community, and especially being from the Boston area and all the things you're doing. And I just felt it was my mission to have you on the show and talk about what you do. So before we get into the basketball things, talk about Follow Suit, how it started, how it generated, and what was your grind.
Okay, so my name is Anthony Thompson. I'm the CEO and founder of Follow Suit. So Follow Suit is a mentoring program where we try to inspire young men to dress for success. And so it's funny because half of the birth of Follow Suit has to do with lessons that was taught to me by my basketball coach. Dennis Wilson, Madison Park High School, 1983. And Coach
Hmm.
Wilson used to give us the on the court lessons as well as the off the court lessons. And one of the off the court lessons was always, sir, how you going to go in there and get that job? How you going to go in there and interview to go to college? And he used to always say, you're never going to get a second chance to make a first impression. So that always stuck with me. And if anybody knows Coach Wilson, he walked the sidelines suited and booted when we had our games. So
Oh,
that's sort of how where it comes together. So within that being said, growing up making some of the good choices, and then I made a few of the bad choices in my life, that put me into places I didn't never want to be, but I end up having to do that journey. And then in 2019, after returning back as a citizen again, during my span, I've been back for a while. I would happen to be recovering from a surgery that I had, open heart surgery in 2019.
wow.
And I'm watching the news, and every day it's another story, a kid, gang violence, some kind of violence and everything with these young men, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, some even younger. And I just said to myself, if they only would put the guns down, if they only would pull their pants up, they'll probably put the guns down. And that just sparked a light in my head about dressing for success, never getting a second chance to make a first impression, and knowing where I come from, being, an ex-felon, the whole 9 yards, fugitive from justice, and knowing that those lessons that was instilled within me, which saved me, would help me become a productive citizen after doing all the stuff that I did do. I said, man, I got to give this to the next young man, and I got to catch him at that vulnerable age and try to instill it into him, and maybe he might get it before that fork in the road and don't make those wrong choices. And so that's how we emerged it into Follow Suit, into a mentoring program. And then I just added on from there. So we do a curriculum of 7 workshops within Follow Suit. And it's a nonprofit organization. So we bring kids in, we teach them everything about a suit, the measurements, the lapels, the pockets, the whole 9 yards. We teach them about the inseam, the measurements of their necks, their sleeve, the buttons. We teach them everything there is to know about a suit. And then within that, I give them the backdrop of my story of how I went from thought I was going to be, go to the NBA, 15 years old, people talking about me playing basketball. I'm dunking the whole 9 yards, think I'm going to be a star in high school, to the crack era, to being a big drug dealer, to being a fugitive from justice and in prison. So I tell them how I wasted almost 9 years on the run as a fugitive, 11 years in a mandatory trafficking drug sentence. So I tell them I wasted 20 years of my life, and I don't want to see you waste the same 20 years. So I give them my story on the very first thing and tell them, The glitz and glamour of getting you dressed up and looking good and all that is not the big picture. The big picture is that these next couple of weeks, you're going to have people come and be in front of you who's going to try to tell you that we love you and we want the best for you and we don't want you to make the mistakes that we have already made. And so we give them all that, and then we give them how to tie a tie workshop, of course. We give them a health and wellness workshop. We talk about their mental health as well as their physical health. And I have a professional trainer. We take them to the gym. We work them out, teach them about eating right, teach them a couple of different exercises they should do to help keep their body together. Then we give them a financial literacy class and teach them how to put that money away instead of running out to get the next release Jordans. And then I have a partnership as well with Samaritans, which is teen suicide. And so we talk about suicide amongst young black boys, which is an unwritten thing in our community. But if you ever did the research and see the numbers are astronomical of how many young brown and black boys between the age 11 to 14 who are committing suicide. So we teach them about that and teach them the signs of how to look for it, because it might not be them, but it could be their brother, their cousin, their teammate, their classmate, the kid they ride to school with, or that they just hang out because they ride the school bus together. So we give them these lessons, in that, to look for in those things within the suicide prevention workshop. And we also have a healthy relations workshop, which is about, we give them lessons and trainings about sexual assault and also domestic violence. And so the sexting is at an all-time high, and sometimes little girls are taking pictures, sending them to boys, and then they're sending them around the school and vice versa. So we're giving them the lessons and the do's and don'ts and letting them know that this is actually can be considered a felony, and you can get yourself in a way bigger jam than what you think of just being innocent as a kid, and how the justice system is not trying to play fair with those who look like us versus those who don't, where they might say, oh, they were just a kid, it was a mistake, versus they try to turn us into sex offenders.
You know,
So
I'm so proud of you and what you're doing, and especially being in the Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester area. You know, you must have found it a little difficult to do what you do and how you started it. What gave you the initiative to do that?
the initiative it was already in me from the time when I was sitting in that in prison cells for them 11 years, and even before then, all the way back before, during the times of was it Reaganomics and all that, when they started closing down. Remember we used to go to the rec centers and the gyms and play for free. And then next thing you know, Reagan came on and that was $5 to go to the gym and play. And then sooner or later you started seeing some of those centers closing down and we had nowhere to play unless we played outside. And so it was one of the things, even when I was getting tax-free money, and I was like, man, if I ever make so much money, I could turn it and make a youth center and give something back to the kids. So I always had something in me that said I was going to do something with the youth. And it just so happened it all played into its part at the right time, I guess, after I had the surgery and was sitting at home.
Now, let me ask you another question. What were the obstacles you faced when you started this program?
Some of the obstacles will be becoming a nonprofit and not knowing anything about it. It was just something I wanted. It was all just an idea and something that I wanted to do. So I didn't know none of the business side, the legal avenues and all that. And so just asking people, when some people don't want to share the knowledge, with you because they feel as though now you're competition.
All
If
right.
you, if you come in, so it was some of it had some of that played a part in it. And I'm a believer in the higher power. So I say what's meant to be is going to be meant to be. So I'm just going to use patience. I'm just going to go at it at my pace. And so I just went at it slowly at my pace. And, I just happened to be I went and filled out the application for my 501c after trying to get people to help me. And everybody say, oh, see this person, see that person. Oh, go to this law school, the Harvard Law School. They got interns there help you and this and that. Then they want you to do all these other kind of applications. And and the brother, an older brother, I don't know if you know Juice Johnson. legend. He went to English High in the '70s. Played with them, some of them undefeated teams. I think in '74, '75 or something. Juice Johnson. Everybody knows him as Juice from out of Mission Hill. But he had a nonprofit at the time, and he's like a big brother to me. And one day he just was like, he gave me a copy of his full application that he submitted when he did his nonprofit, and he said, just copy down this, but put it in your words. And when I was going through the process of the application, I got to a point where they was asking some questions that I didn't understand. But on the application, it happened to have a thing where it said, if you have any questions, call this number.
Right.
And lo and behold, that's what I did. I called the number.
Now, let me ask you a question, my brother. When you were going through those struggles and those hard times, what made you decide, yo, I'm going to keep doing what I got to do and not just give up?
Well, I can't say it wasn't really a struggle, hard time because I don't do it for a living. I have a 9 to 5 job, so I'm taking care of myself. So it wasn't do or die. Life, it didn't pay the bills. Like, so me counting on getting grants money and all that doesn't pay my bills. I'm doing this out of the love of my heart to give it to the kids. So all the money goes into the program and it goes back out. And that's one of the reasons why I started as a nonprofit, because I'm a hustler. I could get money. But I said, I don't want people to think that I'm trying to get money. So I'm going to do it the nonprofit way. So all the money comes in and it goes back out.
Wow, hey, what you're doing is phenomenal. And can you let folks know how they can get in touch with you if they want to, know about what you're doing, and maybe they could help out, assist you financially or in any other way?
Yeah. So the website is followsuitmentoring.com. So it's www.followsuitmentoring.com. You can go on the website and then you can email me, ask me questions, and we can go from there. Or you can email me directly at followsuit2000@gmail.com. Or you can
No,
find me on Facebook, Follow Suit. You can find me on Instagram at Follow Suit by Ahmad Anthony. And I'm also have a YouTube page. Is Follow Suit Fashion Unfiltered, where I use that platform to bring on guys like yourself, mentors, coaches, father figures who've been putting in the work for the last 30 or 40 years, and I give them their flowers on my platform.
I hear you, my brother. And you know something? What I want to know is, because you already know, I done worked in prison for 30 years. I know what it's like to have brothers wearing their pants down low and not dressing professionally or things like that, and that gives a perception.
Right.
So what do you do to talk to these youth who, yo, it's cool for me to put my pants down, or I know what that means. You know what that means, but they don't understand what that means. And that's kind of why I wanted you on the show, to make an impact, to let these young folks know that's not what it's all about.
Well, like you said, from coming from the prison system, if you're wearing your pants like that in the prison system, that means you're selling your butt. And
Exactly.
a lot of kids, they don't know that. That's what you're really doing. You're advertising your man. You're giving up your manhood. So you thinking that's cool in there on the street? You showing that your manhood is for the taking. In actuality,
And true that. And the fact is, they think that's cool. And
yeah,
that's why I wanted you on the show, because you're showing them about being respecting themselves. And when you look good, you feel good, you do good. And
that's
that's
right.
why I wanted you on the show, because you're a prime example of what can happen. And you ain't gotta walk around with your pants below and all that BS. I gotta keep it real. Sure.
Exactly. Exactly what it is. It's terrible. And it makes it even more. It makes it even more sad when you see a guy over in his 40s doing it.
The same damn thing.
Yeah, it's a guy in his late 30s and his early 40s, and he's walking down the street, and every 3 steps he takes, he has to grab his pants and keep him from falling. Like, what the heck is wrong with you?
What? Fam, I don't get it. I don't get it. And sometimes you don't want to, well, in my case, you don't want to say too much, because,
Yeah.
and I'm a referee, as you know, so I referee for 40 years. And I see the kids come to the park or to the gym dressing the same way. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, I don't get it neither.
But
I tell,
go ahead.
I said, sometimes I give them a little demonstration about it, and say, you know, you want to show that you got swagger and look cool. You can still do it without having your pants hang off your butt. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
No,
Like,
now if you're a baller, do it on the court. If you
exactly.
or if you're a student, do it in the classroom.
Right.
Uh, You ain't got to do. I don't know. I, I I don't know. It bothers me so much because I did 30 years. I've seen more than most have ever seen, and I know. But you think they're gonna take me serious? Because they think they got it like that, so they can do whatever they want, and that's kind of why I wanted you on the show. And I thank you for coming on. And you know, I'm trying to. What makes you different from others? Because no one else is doing what you're doing.
And I didn't say I started out to do it to try to be different. I just did what I do. Like I tell people, I come from the sports background as well. I said, but everybody already got sports. There's the Roxbury Raiders, there's the Dorchester Eagles, there's no books, no ball. These organizations been in play for the last 20, 30 years. I said, there's no need for me to come and start the next basketball AAU program when all
Right.
these programs are already there. So I said, I'm not going to go that avenue, even though I know most of those coaches. I know most of those founders of those organizations. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's no need for me to do that when that's already being done. I said, well, let me do something else, what I like to do. And this has always been something I like to do, get sharp and go out. And a lot of people back in the day, some people say, I don't remember you. I said, yeah, because I went to these places that you didn't go because you didn't dress like this. So that's
Uh,
why you didn't see me, because I
uh,
was at these places, but you didn't go there because you didn't dress this way,
right.
you know?
And we have the same friends, and
Yes.
everybody knows you. Everybody knows you. You know what I mean? And they respect what you're doing, and I'm so proud of what you're doing. I just want to know your what do you envision Fall Suit to become, and also how many kids have you been able to get into your program, and what do you want the program to be?
Oh, man. So I want the program to be nationally. That's my goal, nationally, be nationally and be implemented into a school curriculum. Where it's part of a school curriculum. Where at this school or that school, you go to these schools and the curriculum that we have set in play is already there. Where the kids are learning how to dress for success. At the same time, they're learning about saving their money, putting their money in. You know what I mean? All the steps that play a part of the 7 workshops that I have being taught in a school versus me having to get a location, hustle the right grants or do fundraisers to get the money, and then have to calculate how many kids can I actually accept per time, because every kid who comes through the program, he gets a custom made suit when he finishes the program. He leaves with, he gets a custom made suit. And he actually, that very first day when we come in and talk to him, we pull out the catalog books of the materials, the
Wow.
fabric, the patterns, and we tell them, pick out what you like. You like this color, you like this type of pattern. And you'd be surprised. I didn't know some of these kids at 12 and 13, they knew the difference between materials from a summer suit to a winter suit. And they was feeling on them. Kid was like, I want a light. So, and it's a great experience for them. And so they get the suit at the end. So I would like to see the program be implemented into a school and also be national, where we go on from state to state uh, um, with it as well.
I think it can happen. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I grew up in the hood, as you know, and I went to an all-white high school, and I never learned all the things you're talking about. I think the youth, if they learn about financial independence, how to handle your money, how to, you know what I mean? We never learned that when I was in high school. At
Right.
least not the school I went to. So what you're doing is so positive, and it's a great thing. And hopefully, with this show, because my show was seen all around. Hopefully, we can do something to help you out.
I appreciate it.
Well, that's what I do. I am the con man, as you know.
Exactly.
But anyway, let's talk about. Okay, you already talked about your programs. You already talked about yourself. What else do you need to let the viewers know that maybe I didn't ask, or maybe I didn't, or maybe you could say, well, Mike didn't ask me this, or Mike didn't. Is anything you want to project to the viewers, because this is going to be seen around? So you know what I mean. So let the
Well, one of the biggest misconceptions, I can say one of the biggest misconceptions is people think that I might have a clothing line or a clothing brand,
right.
and I don't. It's a mentoring nonprofit program, and like I said, at the end of the program, after the kids complete the program, we gift them with the custom made suit at the end. I don't just have clothes and I'm putting clothes on young men like I have a store or a clothing line like that. So people sometimes reach out to me like thinking I can do something for them instantly as far as clothing and stuff for kids. With it's just not what I do. I don't own any children's clothes or make any children's clothes. I have a partner who comes in. Like I said, we teach them everything and take their measurements, let them pick them out, and then we have the suits made for them after the fact. So that's one thing. Another thing is um, we're open to donations, taking donations. You can reach me. Same thing too. I have a Cash App or a Zelle. So the Zelle you can use the email follow suit 2000 gmail.com if you want to Zelle a donation. Or you can go on, like I said, you go on to the website www.followsuitmentoring.com and contact me, and I can send you links and all those other things to make donations.
My brother, what you're doing is amazing, because I know where you're from, and for you to do what you're doing is totally amazing. And uh, I do my thing out here in New Bedford. I try to be a mentor. I try to do community activities, community recognition awards. I do my thing. But what you're doing is something I've never done. And I think I'm going to start doing it as well. And I just want to thank you. Uh, you are the man. But what
Thank
is
you.
it that you want to instill into the youth? Before we get into the basketball stuff, what do you want to instill into the youth who might be watching, or the parents who might be watching?
I my basic just want to instill in them that you know of just making an impact, making something out of your life, making the choices now early that's going to pay off later on. Like I say, sometime I get up and I speak and in front of a bunch of kids or summits or wherever, and I give them my story, and I give them this story first. Tony Thompson, 14, 15, Duncan, going to high school, da da da. Uh, cuts class, gets caught in the locker room smoking weed, but because of his talents, the coach doesn't put him off the team. I quit on the coach. Instead of him quitting on me, I quit on him. Crack era comes, I become one of the biggest drug dealers in Roxbury, fugitive from justice, on the run for almost 9 years, caught, go to prison for 11 years, mandatory sentence. I said, that's my story over here.
Wow.
I said, then now, Anthony Thompson, founder, CEO, Follow Suit Mentoring Program, been home from prison since 2012. Within 5 years, became the supervisor for the City of Boston Public Works, Roxbury. Now I make over six figures as the facility manager at the Boston Public Library. So I tell them, I want you to have a story over here, not over here. We don't need that story. It goes because it comes together, but I want them to have that story where you went from a good student to college to da 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 all the way up. So that's what I want to instill in them, that we don't need to take the tragic road to get to the magic road. Let's stay on the magic road from the beginning.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep, my brother. That's deep, man. Wow. Wow. Uh, where? Okay, where are you located at? Oh, how can people reach you again?
They can reach me at www.followsuitmentoring.com is the website, or email me directly, followsuit2000 at gmail.com. You can reach me on Facebook at Follow Suit. You can reach me on Instagram at Follow Suit by Ahmed Anthony.
Now, the youth you have been dealing with, because I've seen your videos, I posted them. They're very intuitive and they're very receptive. How do you feel your interaction with the youth are when you're doing your follow suit program?
It takes a little bit of time.
Cool.
It takes time, but after a while, they all buy in. They all buy in. It's crazy. I just graduated a class who they've been with me for 7 Saturdays in a row, and last
Wow.
Saturday was their last Saturday. And I said to him, I said, today's the last Saturday. Y'all sick of me yet? And none of them said no. I thought a couple of them was going, I told them, be truthful. Y'all tired of seeing me? And they was all no. I said, oh, y'all really want to come back? And they was like, yeah, we want to come back for some more. So the impact is being felt. Like I said, they start off, some of them might come because their parents making them come. Some might come because they're interested, and some might come just because they're one of their buddies they know is going, but when it's all said and done, they all take heed to the message and the impact that we're trying to instill in them with the confidence and the life lessons. So each each workshop outside of the regular curriculum or whatever the title of that workshop is, we always bring in a special guest speaker, no matter what the subject matter at hand is of the thing. We bring in some kind of special speaker. So I also have recently retired 6-time Super Bowl running back, Patriots running back coach who comes in and talks to the kids. He brought in his rings and showed them. So I tell him, this is success right in front of your eyes. I have a police officer who comes in who speaks to the kids as well. I have a former NBA basketball player who comes in and speaks to the kids. I have a brother who just did 40 something years, who went into prison at 17 and came home 60 something years old, and comes in and speaks to the kids. So I give them every realm of it all at once. So every week outside of just the regular curriculum, they're getting also some kind of inspiration and some other kind of knowledge to go along with it.
Now, I'm going to hit you hard with this one because you know how I am. Now, I kind of knew your background a little bit, and I didn't expect you to profess all the things you had gone through. And what you think that taught you, and what do you think that is going to transcend into what you're going to be doing in the future?
Um, well, it taught me, just to never give up. And the second thing is just like I tell people. Some people say, "Oh, when I come home from prison and they see me as I come home from prison, and they say, oh, you changed." And I tell people, no, I ain't changed. I returned. I, re-
Ah,
I return. I return. My mother raised me with morals and values. I just did my thing. You know what I'm saying? But the morals and the values was already there. I just did my thing. I had no one outside of her giving me the extra guidance. So that's the biggest thing. Like I said, when the young man's in front of me, I just look at myself. I just always put myself back at 14 and remember what I didn't get. And so I try to make sure I give every kid the part that I didn't get. I got the stuff that I did get, but then there's the parts that I didn't get. And I tell them, I wish I could be in this chair now again at 14 and getting the stuff that I'm giving you. If I could have got it at 14.
now let me ask you another question, fam. You were very talented as a young individual. I don't know your family history. Not I'm trying to get into your family history, but you had obviously a talent. What made you think turn to being doing selling drugs and etc. When you had the talent, and as you know, Boston, tremendous talent. What made you decide to go and sell drugs and things of that nature?
Um, well, the story goes, it was like sort of, it was thrown into my lap. I tell people when it comes to that part of it. So the mistake happened, like I said, when I was in high school, my senior year. So I never had a role model mentor in the sports, so my talent was just my talent. I had the talent, but I had no uncle, no father, no bigger brother. I had an older sister that played basketball, which got me into the circuit of being able to follow guys like you and all the older guys. That's how they all know me, because my sister's 3 years older than me. And
Right.
so I was going to the circuit at a young age, but I had no real father figure that pushed me. So it was just my talent. And then, so then the influences of the streets. So even though I love basketball and girls, and still I had friends that I hung around that was, doing street stuff. And then it was just a mistake that I made, which, I chose to cut class and go and get high in the bathroom, and and then I got caught, and then like I said, because of my talents, I didn't get kicked off the team, but I got put in the doghouse, and I didn't know that it was for my own good, because I'm thinking I'm a stubborn kid, like, "Man, I should be playing.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm riding the bench for a couple of games suspension. No one else on the team even knew I was suspended. They thought I was just riding the bench. And then when it came time for me to stop playing, the coach rode me harder because of my situation. And I
Right.
didn't take it as him riding me harder because of my situation. I just took it as he's riding me for
Yep.
I'm being, he's riding me too much. I'm tired of this. I'm not going to go for this. And so I quit on the team halfway through the middle of the season. I quit and walked off the team, figuring like I'll show him instead of me, he showed me, I'll show him, and with that said, within the next 2 years was the crack era. And it was just so happens, you know, someone I knew was heavy into the drug era at the time, which was my sister's fiance. He was heavy into the drug game at the time, and he came and he gave me some money to count. He didn't give me the drugs. He gave me the money, but I already experimented around drugs, like I said, 'cause I smoked weed and all other crap. And, I dibbled and dabbled. So we want to take it back in history. I knew about selling nickel bags and mescaline and all that when I was, a younger kid, my man's uncle, so I didn't know what it was. We just did it because we was young and, for the money. And it was the same thing when he just gave me some money to count one day, and I counted the money. And when I counted the money, I was enticed by the money, counting the money. And so I was also sort of a mathematician. My mother taught me mathematics at a very young age. So I had a 12th grade math level going into the fifth grade. I was already doing 12th grade. I was at 12th grade level because they gave me a test because my teacher actually sent me home. So the story, my teacher actually sent home a letter saying that I wouldn't participate in class when I was in the fifth grade because the math was too easy because my mother had already taught me all this stuff. But I
Right.
never said nothing to the teachers. I just was to be like sitting there like, I'm not doing this. This is kid stuff to me at in the fifth grade. And so when it all came about, they gave me a test when I was in the fifth grade, and I tested at 12th grade level for mathematics. So the enticement of the money, and then I learned different ways to count money. You know, you start thinking, you don't think about it until at that time. So it was different ways, counting to 1,000, counting to 10,000, because the guy actually, my sister's boyfriend, gave me almost $25,000 to count at 17 years old.
Whoa.
Counting drug money, how that is. And people's going to count 10, 20, 30, 40. You be there all day. You know what I'm saying? And I just quickly, boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? 25, 25, 20 is 500. 50, 20s is 1,000. I'm counting 50,000. And the enticement, that's what took me, that's what indulged me into the drug game. So I tell people, it was the excitement and enticement of the numbers versus the drugs itself that got me hooked into the drug game.
All right, my man. I gotta ask you another question. Okay, you did your time, you paid your penalty, and now look at what you're doing. Now, a lot of folks who get out of prison, they may not have the opportunities that you were given or how you got them. Can you tell folks maybe who might have just got out of prison or have the same, I guess, issues that you had when you first got out? Because I know damn well, maybe I'm wrong, it ain't that easy getting a job when you just came out of prison. How the hell did you do what you did?
Well, I tell everybody like the same thing I told my wife when we was on the phone before I got out. My wife said to me, "Baby, what you gonna do? You got a Corey. What you gonna do when you get out?" And I told my wife,
Exactly.
I have a belief in the higher power. I told my wife, I'm going to pray. And so I just left it in the hands of prayer and dealt with the struggles as they came. So I use patience and prayer is what I use. And I stayed the path. I mapped out what I was going to do when I got out of prison. I wrote it down on paper. I'm going to do this on day one. I'm going to do this on day two. I'm going to do this on day three. So I got out on a Friday. When I got out on that Friday, Monday morning, I was at the registry. I was at the Social Security building. You know what I mean? I was everywhere I needed to be to get myself in line, you know? And so it was like, and I never stopped. Everything had to be in line. Boom, 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 boom. I had money. I had money, still some money. You know what I mean? A car, everything was like boom, 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 and then finding the job. So then, I just applied and applied and applied. I came home on days struggling and not finding a job yet, going on interviews, come home and cry. You know, but I stayed the course. I stayed the course. And I got a little job here, got a temporary job here. And like I said, the turning point came. I was at a temp agency working, and then I applied for Home Depot, which was only a part-time job, but I got the job when I got and once I got into Home Depot, and it was funny when I got the job with Home Depot, the guy looked at my application, and he was like, "Wow, how come you got so big of a gap in your work history?"
Right?
And so that was the turning point when he said that, you know. And when he asked me that, I just told him the truth. I said, "Listen, man, when I got out of high school playing about da 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 boom, I told him the story. I said I went into selling drugs, and I said I sold it because of the enticement of what it was. I ain't sell it because we was poor. I didn't sell it because of out of need and necessity. You know, it was that era, and I did it, and I paid for it, and now I'm back. And he gave me opportunity and gave me the job. But the whole time, I had already prepared myself. So I have a documentary. You got to go on YouTube and see my documentary. I have a documentary called The Man. I have a documentary on my YouTube page. It's called The Man Behind Follow Suit. So if you go on there and you listen to my documentary, it's an audio documentary, but it has pictures to go along with the audio. And so I had made my decision being on the run when I was on the run for
Wow.
those almost 9 years.
We're gonna get it back. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Wow. I can hear you now. Can you
Okay.
repeat that again? Because I think we lost a little bit. Can you repeat that again?
So when I was on the run, when I was a fugitive, while I was on the run, I had already. You hear me?
A little bit better. Go ahead.
So when I was on the run as a fugitive, I had already made up my mind about things I was going to do. So I gave up selling drugs after a moment of time, and I started trying to get a legal job while I was on the run. And I did end up getting a job, and I ended up getting a job at a Super Kmart, which is basically Walmart, Super Kmart. And you hear me? Everything's good. The volumes be all right? Or no?
We're getting better.
Uh, yeah.
Can you hear
So
me?
I hear you loud and clear. I haven't moved to touch nothing, so I
I
don't know
can't
what
hear.
happened. I don't know. I ain't
I don't
touching
know,
no
man.
button.
Hey, I want folks to hear your story, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I can hear you still clear. Can you hear me?
Yo, you're not coming in clear at all, my brother. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Modern technology sometimes does what it wants.
My man, he has a documentary, and I saw it. It's unbelievable. He talks about his past, his present, and his future. It's a great documentary, and you guys need to go see it. And hopefully, he can come on and let you guys know how to get in touch with him, how to check out the documentary because it's something y'all need to see. And again, I want to give him his. That's why I got him on the damn show. I want to give him his roses, his flowers, because he's doing so many great things in the city of Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester, which is no joke. And of course, I want to kick it with him about because we both know all the best Boston players who ever come out of Boston, and I want to kick it with him on that. And eventually, we'll do that, or maybe we can do it another time or whatever. But again, I want to thank my man for coming on the show, Mr. Thompson, CEO of Follow Suit. And folks, I apologize for the technical difficulties, but we're going to be doing the damn thing real soon. And I hope you guys can stay tuned and we'll have him back on. Folks, please have a great day. God bless and take care.
Thank you again if they can hear me. God bless.
Who's that?